I made real, actual money I can buy things with working as a hamster wheel operator making snow cones. Now that I have your attention, I don't want you to like this video. I want you to subscribe, but I don't want you to like it. I'm testing something, just play along with me. Just subscribe, don't like. If you want to show your approval for the video, comment Nagash, so great is his power. Nagash, Nagash, so great is his power. And that'll do me just fine. Give me all my interactions, it'll do all the things. Now to the video. Murder these green people because I don't like them. So, when I was younger, like 14 or 15, I was in high school at the time, sophomore year, I got the chance to work as a professional hamster wheel operator at the Scarborough Renaissance Festival. And if you don't know what the Scarborough Renaissance Festival is, I want you to just imagine a furry convention, and you're getting pretty close. So basically, everyone gets together, and the call is coming from inside of the house here. I love the Scarborough Ren Fair. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm making fun of my own here, but you get together and y'all LARP as people from any age in history other than this one. And then there's always one guy dressed as Deadpool, and it doesn't break the immersion because he's so damn funny that it doesn't matter. So I got the chance to work there. I interestingly got the job because I I trained under two judo instructors who were both cops, who also owned the gym that I was at. And they gave me this job, and they were basically like, hey, bro, you want to work at the Scarborough Ren Fair? And I was like, I guess. Sure, that sounds pretty cool. They're like, okay, run the hamster wheel. I was like, what? And they're like, you're going to make snow cones for people. Now, when I saw all of this, I got really scared really fast, because what I was under the impression of is that I would have to literally run on a hamster wheel for 8 hours a day on both of my weekend days. And it wasn't that. I just had to coach other people on how to do it. And, honestly, as much as it sounds like I'm making it out to be like some hellscape, it was really fun. I loved that job. I got to meet a ton of really cool people. I just had a really great experience working there, and see, if I disconnect and rejoin, do I get my coins back? No. Bro. Okay. Oh, wow, that was awful. What am I doing? Whatever that combo was, I need to never do it again. I just lost so much money. Oh no. Okay. So anyways, I worked there and it was fun. You had two sides to the machine. One was front, one was back, as most things have. And I worked it with my coworker and friend Grace. Now she was super baller, me and her are still friends, but she also got a kick out of working there, and we had a blast. Great job. Great coworkers, great boss, great environment. Except, great environment has some caveats. So, sometimes the job would get a little stressful. So we'd have to take the edge off. So, one of us would be like, hey, go and take a break. And we'd be like, okay. So, then the other one would give the money pouch over, and they'd get ready to go on their break, and then they'd meander off. And we had two things we would do, all right? With few exceptions, but generally we just did these two things. All right, first, there was a food stand that sold crab cakes, and crab was in parentheses, because I don't know what meat it was made of, but I don't really care. That shit could have been advertised as human flesh. They could have charged quadruple for it, and I would have considered it a steal, all right? It was so good. So I'd go grab the crab cakes. It came with this like lemon and tartar sauce, and then or ranch, and you'd eat it all together. And oh god, it was so good. But so you'd get that, and then you'd meander on over to our buddy Montana. Montana, well, he was an older fella, and he really figured out what he wanted to do in life. And what he wanted to do is watch young college-age men and women beat the shit out of each other. Just beat the tar out of each other. And I understand why blood sports had to go, but oh my god. He would duct tape balloons to these, like, to like 4 dudes, put them in like a pigsty, and then say, all right, go crazy. And your goal is to pop everyone else's balloons. And he didn't give you like a safer sword, you know? He didn't give you like safer sword the brand. Like he didn't give you like a pool noodle or anything. He got like those mean ass ones from like Spirit Halloween, the ones that are styrofoam over a metal rod. He got those and then just had you wail on each other with minimal protection. It was so funny to watch. So once we got done watching blood sports, we'd come back and pick up the job. So there were what I like to call the 3 maladies. These are the 3 things that, you know, it's like my 7 evil exes. It's like these are the 3 things that made this job exceedingly difficult. The first one, the one that made it difficult, the one that was really the problem, was the heat. All right, I was in Waxahachie, Texas. That's a little bit off Dallas. It was 106 degrees out some of those days. 106 degrees with no shade and no clouds. Water costs $6 for a Dasani water bottle? I just want you to soak that one in. $6. I would rather die of thirst than I would drink a $6 Dasani water bottle. You couldn't make me drink that shit for free. Anyway, so we brought our water, we made do. So that was rough, right? We'd go out there. I got a sunburn so bad, I was like red on a color chart. You could look at like one of those, what are those called? Not stobs, dang, I just sneezed, it went away. The swatches, I think they're called. Color swatches. I would be considered like burgundy or like maroon on that shit. I was so burnt, it was so bad. So, anyways, the heat was miserable. You didn't have shade because we wanted to funnel people in and make them feel like it's really hot, because, you know, it was, and that they really needed a snow cone. I forgot, I don't even remember if I mentioned it. This hamster wheel makes snow cones. You run on it, and it runs and generates a snow cone through this Rube Goldberg-ass process. So, anyways, heat was one of the 3 maladies. Vicious, brutal, hot as hell. The second malady. This one, like a right plague of Egypt, was customized for my tastes. There were so many bees. There were so many bees. So, I think I mentioned it in passing, but I work at a snow cone wheel. It's a hamster wheel that you run on and it makes snow cone. I don't know if I can be more clear about this. And, you know, it was a science project between a dad and his son. And it was, don't get me wrong, incredible for 2 hobbyists to make. It was really remarkable that 2 people got together. They made a whole pump and jack system. They made a brake on a giant hamster wheel that ran on a rig that rolled conveyor belts and ground ice and did all this really remarkable stuff. I mean, it was incredible. But it was built by hobbyists probably like 10 or 15 years ago. And that shit broke every time we used it. It was rough going, man. So, one of the things that broke on this machine was the pumps that would pump... Oh, that guy's mad at me. Hold on. Let's go down here and kill him. Oh, he came up. There we go. The pumps that would pump the red 40 into the kid's cup. All right, our red 40 machine was always leaking, and you know that was not always good when there's 10,000 bees. I'll see if I can find that one meme of 10,000 bees. But you know there were 10,000 bees, and they all wanted a taste of the syrups. And it was so intense how many bees there were. So in order to combat these bees, I was lucky I wasn't like allergic or anything, but in order to combat these bees, we had this spray that was given to me by my boss wearing a fucking glove. And I'm like, okay, man, what is that? And he was like, it's an anti-bee spray. And I said, oh? And he goes, yeah. It'll make the bees not want to be around it. And little did I know, it made me not want to be around it either. Because that shit was the most noxious, fume-creating, repugnant thing I think I've ever been near. This guy hands it to me with a glove, and he gives me like a destroyed, rotten white dish rag, and he says, I want you to take that rag, I want you to spray it with that stuff, and I want you to hang it on this rod specifically, which is the only rod that does not have paint on it. And I said, hey, why does that matter? And he goes, oh, because it will strip the fucking paint off of whatever it touches. And I said, oh. And he goes, yeah, be careful. And tosses me this rag. I'm like, bro, you have a glove. This is not fair. And he goes, So, I spritz down the rag. I hang it. And it smells like... I don't even know how to describe the smell. Like the concept of orange is a good way I could start. Mixed with capital C chemical smell. So we sprayed it on there, and we let it hang, and do you know what it did? Do you want to know what it did? Absolutely fucking nothing. It did nothing at all. It just straight up, it just smelled repugnant and stripped paint off of the machine when I accidentally laid it on the wrong part once. But other than that, that stuff did not work. And, my hands are soaked in syrup, and the bees are coming for my hands, but I'll be damned if I'm going to find out what gnarly chemical burns that shit'll give me if I touch it. So I just let the bees crawl on me. And, they were honeybees. They were bumblebees. They were pretty chill. I liked them. The bees became my friends. I am now so comfortable with bees, you could actually have me fuck with their hive without a protective suit. Just because I've been around so many of them. It's incredible. So that is the second malady. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually get headaches from drinking too much water. Like, I've been drinking so much water recently so that I stopped getting headaches, and then they got worse, and I was wondering, like, what in God's green earth could cause that? And I learned that if you drink so much water after not drinking much for a while, it will flush the electrolytes out of your system, and you will be left with miserable headaches. And, I get those on the regular as a data analyst trying to figure out what in the hell I'm even supposed to be doing. And it doesn't help whenever I'm trying to improve my health. And then suddenly it feels like someone's trying to make their way into my head and they're not leaving room for me. That doesn't feel too good. So stay hydrated, but you should get like a... Oh my god, I need one of those like horse salt lumps. I just realized that like I could solve all my problems by a giant salt cube that I just sit on my desk and stare down my boss as I just like tongue it. Oh my god, yeah, that would solve all my problems, including my time management problem, because I'd probably stop having a job by then. Yeah. Whoa, okay. Yeah, eat your salt cubes, kids. Like, you really get in there. It'll help you a lot. It'll help you with some things. Like making friends, I don't think you'll make the kind of friends that want to be around a salt cube liquor, but you will make friends. I promise you. It's kind of like that whole there's no bad publicity other than unwanted publicity. Like, you can't go wrong if you want just... Like, as far as, like, speed at which you can get someone to interact with you, depends on the place you're in, but look at a salt lamp might be, like, one of the optimal options. That may be one of the peak strategies. I don't want you to, like, take my word for this in any way that can impact your life. So, maybe if you're not strong enough to lick the salt lamp, you just get, like those little packets... Like the little salt packets that come in like the Sonic utensil wrapper thing, and just pack one of those like dip. Then you can drink as much water as you fucking ever could want. So you may be wondering what I'm doing down here in the end, and I'm not really sure, but like an old dementia patient who keeps sewing KKK robes no matter how many needles they take away from him. It's instinct. Now, the third malady, and this one is what makes me inclined to believe Scarborough Renaissance Festival is a magical affair with real deep magics coursing through the rented out hovels. There's a lot of gnomes with alcohol issues, like an incredible amount of alcoholic aggressive gnomes. And you'll ask me, like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's like, no, it's not a bit. It's. I got accosted multiple times while I was working by short, drunk, small men wearing like togas and flower crowns throughout my entire employment of 2 years there. Like that doesn't. It's gotta be a pattern, because I mean. I don't get accosted by short men often. That's not a normal thing that happens for me. And then it happens multiple times, and these guys, again, little guys in togas and flower crowns. What am I to make of that? There's an alcoholic gnome issue, and they are not domesticated. Like this one guy, I was working the snowcone wheel. I was on the side that faced all the customers. And this little girl comes up, and that's normal. I see about 400 of them a day when I'm working there, because it's a fucking wheel that makes snow cones. All right, kids love that thing, and I love kids. I think they're so fun, they're so happy, and it's my favorite part of that job. Unfortunately, the bitch of a mom came with, and she was just really rude the whole way through. She was not kind to the service workers she interacted with, me. Or my partner Grace. She was just really kind of aggressive about the whole thing. She was very disrespectful. I didn't like it. I didn't like interacting with her. So, color me not surprised when the daughter began misbehaving. It's one of those things that you come to expect when a parent is just being a miserable human. So the daughter gets on to run, and I'm going to try to illustrate this for you in Minecraft. So imagine oh, hold on. These are the kids I beat with my club at the Scarborough Renaissance Festival, by the way. Look at that. They give me gunk mite gel. I don't like you. So imagine like this floor right here. This is like the bottom of the hamster wheel. It goes up like that. So right here, there's like a railing that goes. The wheel's here, it straddles it, right? It goes over it, and you're supposed to squeeze those two together and make it run. And what you have to do is you actually have to step up under the railing here. Let me see if I can collect those. Whatever. You have to step like up here so it pulls the wheel down, right? You got to keep pulling the wheel down. And a lot of kids didn't understand this. I don't blame that. They're still learning the controls, and it didn't come with a manual. So they would try to just stomp their feet right here, just over and over again, and see if it would make it run, and it wouldn't. So I would have to step in and start like pushing the machine. I'd have to start like helping them run by putting my foot on the side like right here and running like this, right? And I would have to just use one foot and just push them like that while they ran. Most of the kids, again, I saw 200 to 400 children every day working at that machine. So when I say most of the kids did it fine, I mean it. I have a significant sample size. Well, this one girl, she gets up there. It's the girl of the brat mom, and she will not listen to my instructions. She keeps stomping her feet, and I have to start pushing, because normally what happens is the kids will stomp their feet, but if you push it, they'll just run in place. You're doing all the pushing, but they're still not falling. Well, this girl ends up, so if this is the thing, and here's the fucking railing, her legs are like back here, because the wheel keeps pulling her, and she doesn't know how to run. So I'm pushing it. I'm telling her, you need to keep your feet forward. You need to keep your feet forward. She's not having any of it. She's giggling and laughing until she falls over, okay? And again, I've seen what it looks like when kids fall over on this thing, and she falls over, and then hits the ground, and she kind of sits there for a second, and then bodily throws herself out of the other side and starts crying. Like, I don't. She was not hurt because then when she got attention, she immediately stood up, walked off. I get it. She's a kid. Don't care. That's fine. I apologized, gave them the snow cone. Grace did a great job placating the mom, or so we thought. And then they left. And that was supposed to be the end of it. And then I'm taking more customers. And then I hear this yelling behind me. I'm like, hey, I wonder what that is. Because the wheel's behind me. So I look over and I'm like, I wonder who's being a drunken moron right now. I turn around and it's the girl's father dressed in, again, a toga and flower crown. He's like 5'3", by the way. It was stunning how close in height he was to Grace, who is very small. But I didn't appreciate that there was a man screaming at my coworker. Like, meat speaks, and I was not going to have him threaten her and potentially hit her, because he looked like he was working up to it. So I go, hey, buddy, how about you come over here and talk to me? He comes on over. I'm like, okay, who are you? And he was like, you hurt my daughter. And I was like, well, technically, your daughter hurt herself. And, he didn't like that. That wasn't composing myself dignified as an employee of law enforcement should. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to do that. And he was like, yes, you fucking did. You're a monster. You suck. And I can smell it on his breath. It's either that or a head injury, and normally head injuries don't smell like liquor. So he's screaming at me. I'm doing my best to not get worked up. But I'm also a kid, and I'm scared as fuck. I'm like, I'm about to either get like shivved by this guy, or I'm gonna beat the piss out of a small man and get banned from my place of work forever. So I'm staring down the barrel of that. And he realizes he's not getting anywhere with me, so he turns around and starts screaming in the faces of the kids in line, telling them, they're monsters, they're gonna make you cry, they're gonna hurt you, you parents should leave, you guys shouldn't support this ugly business. So they're tweaking. So I'm like, hey dude, stop. He gets back in my face. He keeps yelling. And then, as I think he's about to actually get his nuts up and hit me, a hand closes on his shoulder. And like, I'll put it here, that Willem Dafoe meme of him like looking up in terror, me and this guy both did that. And like, I'm like 6'2", this guy was like 5'3", 5'4", but it was, this guy was dressed as Kratos, and if I squinted, I would have fucking believed it. This guy was ripped enormous. He was like 6'8" at least. He was wearing nothing but like bear skin and a real actual axe. And he grabs the guy's shoulder and he just proclaims, he goes, I don't care who's right or wrong. You made my daughter cry. You're leaving. And, the guy tries to hit his hand off, so he squeezes his shoulder, and the guy drops to his knees. And he bodily picks him up, like, I think it was, like, under his armpits, and deposits him on the bench across the street. And I'm like, dude, you get your snow cone for free. Holy shit. And he was like, okay, sure. And then tipped me like $20. That guy was awesome. I got saved by Kratos from an angry drunk gnome. And, that was the third malady. That was the first of like four different small drunk men in togas that accosted me at the Scarborough Renaissance Festival. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my experience there. It was an overall fantastic employment that I don't want to say was sullied by those things, because like when a hero goes on a quest, the dragon at the end is not an inconvenience to the story. Even if he's a dragon you have to slay, literally. I mean, it's still necessary for the joy you feel looking back on your victory. And I look back on my victory with joy, because the dragon I had to face was 10,000 bees and a bunch of drunk gnomes while standing in the pits of hell. And that is the Scarborough Renaissance experience. It was incredible, and I cannot recommend it enough. You should absolutely give it a try if they tour near your area. I will not be there unless I decide to wrangle up a costume and go with some friends. But I love that place. And despite everything I told you, I need you to understand that it was one of the most pleasant experiences I've had, like working there and being around those people. It was fantastic. I made so many friends, and they were all so kind. It was awesome. So yeah, really, that there's no takeaway. 10,000 Angry Bees, go.